looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga laidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu. Nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi nalina bawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again,
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga laidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu. Nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi nalina bawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
when I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga laidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu. Nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto, ne nzaala akaana kange. Nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako, ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again,
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto, ne nzaala akaana kange. Nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako, ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
when I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto, ne nzaala akaana kange. Nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako, ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto, ne nzaala akaana kange. Nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako, ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again,
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto, ne nzaala akaana kange. Nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako, ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
when I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto, ne nzaala akaana kange. Nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako, ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga laidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala nendigula nendimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Nenzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi nalina abawala beereere. Kale nempulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga laidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala nendigula nendimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Nenzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi nalina abawala beereere. Kale nempulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga laidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala. Nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu. Nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again,
knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga alaidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala. Nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu. Nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
when I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga alaidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala. Nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu. Nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyengalayidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina bawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR, probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyengalayidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina bawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR, probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyengalayidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto, naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina bawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga alayidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu, nampandikira eddagala nendigula nendimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Nenzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina bawala beereere. Kale nempulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga alayidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu, nampandikira eddagala nendigula nendimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Nenzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina bawala beereere. Kale nempulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta okunyenga alayidi. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala nendigula nendimira bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto nenzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi nalina abawala beereere kale nempulira essanyu.
When I see you again, when I see you
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala nendigula nendimira bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto nenzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi nalina abawala beereere kale nempulira essanyu.
when I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Twatagana ne Dr. Segundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu nampandikira eddagala nendigula nendimira bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera wayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto nenzaala akaana kange nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi nalina abawala beereere kale nempulira essanyu.
When
people. We'll have someone from service provision, we'll have someone from education, research, we'll have a community voice and perspective as well. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Charles Owekmeno, the Executive Director of the National SRHR Alliance. And we hope on that panel that we'll have the Honorable Aevale Margaret, the woman MP in Bara District. We'll have Dr. Robert Mutumba from the Ministry of Health. We'll have Miss Olivia Namiro from the Community Health Advocates Association of Buikwe District. And we'll also be having a colleague from the Association of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Uganda. We'll have another panel discussion that will be moderated by Miss Dorothy Amron, which is aimed at taking stock of the SRHR movement in Uganda, with specific lessons from the JAZZ program implementing partners. And we'll have representatives from Kina Mama Africa, we'll have representatives from Reach a Hand Uganda, we'll have representatives from UNESCO, Nafufanu, HURAF, and lastly, but by no means least, HEPS Uganda. But also we will have a discussion on the status of SRHR in Uganda, priorities, progress, challenges, and solutions. And we'll have Dr. Nawire from Ministry of Health who will lead us in that discussion. As you can see, it's a very interesting lineup that we have, and we hope that if all goes well, we should be out of here by 4:40 p.m. to enable you travel back and beat the curfew. All right, so without further ado, we will straight away delve into the late Dr. Charles Chigundu Memorial, and we have a short video that was made in that regard. Thereafter, I will ask that we observe a moment of silence as we honor the memory of the late Dr. Charles Chigundu. Is the video ready?
Knowing SEHAD probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SEHAD. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking
So
after
I
them
will ask that
while
we
pregnant,
turn our attention to
helping
the screens
some
wherever
who
you
have problems
see
with
them.
conceiving, and also
As
treating
we
them
prepare
when they
to,
have issues related to their reproductive system.
watch that video.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Chigundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Lide. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu, nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne
projection screen wherever they are from. Can we all see? Okay, I'm guessing silence means we can all see. But just a brief profile. For those of you who did not know the late Dr. Charles Chigundu, at the time of his death, Dr. Charles Chigundu headed the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Makerere University. He served as the treasurer of the Association of Gynecologists and Obstetricians, AOGU, between 2004 and 2009. He also served as a vice president of the same association between 2008 to 2013, and thereafter he served as the president of the association for 2 years from between 2013 and 2015. I will ask that we turn our eyes to the screen and we watch this short video that we've made in memory of Dr. Charles Chigundu.
And alcohol drinking was tied up with domestic violence, was tied up to men finding themselves in a situation of wanting to claim their past, explaining themselves to the children and female kin in the household.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women,
while we
looking
get
after
the
them
video
while
rectified.
pregnant, helping some who do have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive systems.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Kigundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsumbuwa mu lubuto. Naye bwe namunnyonnyola ennumizibwa gye binnumamu, nampandikira eddagala ne ndigula ne ndimira. Bwe nalimira nagenda okulaba nga ntereera, waayita emyezi 2 ngenda okulaba nga ndi lubuto. Ne nzaala akaana kange, nagenda okulaba nga ate nkazizzaako kannaako. Ate nali sifunangako mukisa guzaala ku mwana mulenzi, nalina abawala beereere. Kale ne mpulira essanyu.
When I see you again.
Knowing SRHR probably coming to about maybe 10 years or so since I come to know SRHR. But it all started because of the challenges I was getting in the healthcare system. I've lived most of my adult life working with and for women, looking after them while pregnant, helping some who have problems with conceiving, and also treating them when they have issues related to their reproductive system.
Kwatagana ne Dr. Kigundu waliwo ekibiina ekyamuleeta awo ku Nyenga Allied. Nali maze ebbanga lya myaka 9 nga sizaala, nga nina ebirwadde ebinsu.
There we go. Video done in memory of the late Dr. Charles Kigundu. I'll ask that we kindly rise for a 1-minute silence in honor of his memory, and then we shall resume with the program. May the soul of the late Dr. Charles Kigundu find eternal rest. Thank you. You may be seated. All right. We will resume the program, and we'll start with the panel discussion. And I will invite the moderator of this panel discussion, the Executive Director of the National SRHR Alliance, Mr. Charles Owekmeno, who is going to take us through a panel discussion on the status of SRHR in the country, discussions on the current interventions, persisting challenges, and recommendations from service providers, members of the education sector, research, community, users. Yes, so I'll invite Mr. Charles Owekmeno. You're most welcome. So let's give him a round of applause as he makes his way. I think he's not feeling energized enough. Yeah. There we go. Please take your seat on the podium before I hand over these moderating powers to you, sir. All right, so over to you, sir.
Thank you. I would like to observe all the great protocols here. I'm not good with protocols. So you're all highly respected and welcome. I am also happy that this session was pushed to the afternoon because it means I have a lot of energy. We have taken lunch. I also have full attention. Is that not so? Yeah, so that is an assumption, but I think it's a correct assumption. Thank you so much. And I was just having reflection about all the presentations we have had since morning. And I thought that they set really a very good precursor for our conversation this afternoon. And I was just asking myself, and I wish you could also ask yourself, how would you summarize the SRHR space in the country? And some few words came in my mind, and some of them, one of them was policy versus reality. That's one of the things that came that as a summary of the space. The other one is values versus experience. I don't know whether I was right there. And the other one is foreign versus numbers. So those three were some of the key things that came in my mind as I was reflecting on our SRHR space in the country, particularly based on the presentation from the professor around decolonization. Now, so this afternoon, I'm going to be joined by really a panel that understand the SRHR and the health sector space in the country. They don't just understand it because we are talking about it, but some of them have actually had very many years of experience working in the space. Some of them are leaders. So we are really going to have a conversation that unpacks the SRHR space in the country. But at the end of the conversation, we will all conclude that what are those words that summarizes the space that we have in the country. Yeah, I will want to listen from you about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is this leader that we have. She has been in parliament just for some months, but you can feel the energy. If you have been in the country and you follow conversation in the health sector, you must have heard Honorable Margaret speaking. And she always speaks with a lot of passion and a lot of energy for the health of our young people. So may we clap to welcome Honorable Ayebare Margaret to the panel. And I should have said this when Dr. Mugai was here. I think really, if you have been in the SRHR space in the country, you really know how much Ministry of Health has become so supportive under the leadership of Dr. Dina, Dr. Mugai, Dr. Robert, and all the entire leadership of Ministry of Health. We really feel how much they support us. And this afternoon for this panel, we are going to be joined by Dr. Robert Mutunji. Mutumba. Please, you're welcome. And we are also going to be joined by a young person who is a full soldier, the one who is on the ground. And in our conversation, we are not just going to talk from the leadership perspective. We also want to hear what the young people, the ones who are interacting with young people every day, what do they feel and what perspective do they have on the SRHR space in the country. And for that reason, please join me to welcome Ms. Olivia Namiro. After all is said and done, we need a service provider, and we need to get that perspective as well. So for this panel, we are going to be joined by David, Dr. David Lokomwa, and David is, he works with the Entebbe Regional Referral Hospital. He's a gynecologist. So we are glad to have you, David, join us for this panel. You're welcome. Please, a big hand clap to Dr. David. Okay, thank you very much. So our panel is really complete and we have quite a short time. So my dear panelists, I will request that we keep to the point, but make sure that we make the point. And so I want to start with the Honorable. And Honorable, you have experience of also being this other side before you moved to the leadership. So you understand these spaces very well. And I remember when I started my conversation and I spoke about policy versus reality, I saw you smiling. I don't know why, maybe you'll tell us. But we would like really to invite you from your perspective as a leader who is in Parliament. What's your reflection around the SRHR policy space in the country? And what are the things that we're doing right? What are the things that we can do differently? What are the things that from your perspective as a leader, you see that as a country, these are the buttons that we need to press in terms of policies so that we can make progress? Just share with us that perspective. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you so much, moderator. Once again, good afternoon. My name is Ayebare Margaret Rubyambu. I represent the people of Umbarara district in the 11th Parliament. And I'm also honored to be a member of Parliamentary Health Committee as a sectoral committee, and again as a member of HIV and AIDS and related matters as another committee. I want to first of all thank SEHAD for seeing it right to bring me back to my roots. I would say these are my roots because this is where I was before I went to Parliament. And I still keep that passion of working with young people, of working with vulnerable people, of looking at how best we can improve sexual reproductive health and rights. I'm a social worker by profession, but I also had a chance to join Lund University in Sweden and took a postgraduate diploma in sexual reproductive health and rights. So when it comes to SRHR things, for sure, I know one or two things about them. So to come back to the topic of decolonizing the sexual reproductive health and rights, I wanted to put it in a layman's language. It's all about undoing or relinquishing control of those things that have held us for long, and maybe bring into existence a different interpretation to give voice to what has been silent for long. When you talked about policy versus reality, most of the things that we are doing, we are hiding our heads in the sand. What is the reality on ground is what we need to talk about, is what we need to look at. During the discussion, I heard so much about rights, but I want to tell you as a leader, as someone who is leading people who do not know even what their rights are. And I want to assure you that rights move with empowerment, period. No one is going to know his or her rights when they are not empowered. First of all, they have to be empowered with information. They have to know what their rights are. That is one thing. Secondly, as SEHAD and other partners, we need to come out and sensitize people. If we keep on talking about rights, for example, I'm a member of parliament representing the rural woman of Umbarara district who seeks permission to go to a health facility, not because she cannot go on her own, but she needs transport from her husband. Even if she has a right to go to the hospital, but since she is not empowered, she is not economically empowered, she has no transport, she will definitely have to seek permission from the husband, because in the line of seeking permission, she's also requesting for transport. So we need to go back to what we call empowerment. How are we going to sensitize our communities? How are we going to sensitize our people? SRHR, mix rights with empowerment. Let's look at how we can empower that vulnerable child. When we put aside the economic empowerment, empowering people with information, these young people, they have information somehow which is not right. We have failed to tell them what is right, and they are seeking information from all corners. And at the end of it all, they get wrong information. How are we going to work together to ensure that we give these people the right information? I want to tell you that COVID has caught us unawares. And COVID has even showed us that we are not better than schools as parents. Do you realize that COVID has showed us that schools are safe places for our children than our homes? Do we agree? COVID has showed us that our children, especially the girl child, is more safe when she's at school than when she's at home with us parents. So what are we looking at? What are we going to do? Remains a question between me and you. Recently, I was thinking about why so many teenager pregnancies. And somehow it came to my mind that maybe these young girls at school, they have been accessing contraceptives. Can you think like how I'm thinking? They have been accessing contraceptives. Now they're at home. Mubisaragate. Within that enclosure, they cannot go anywhere to access these contraceptives. They've been getting them at school. And failure to get them, they are pregnant every day. Think through. If you think like me, you realize that these children know what we don't know. It's high time to give children information and tell them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable. And from your reflection, I think you're talking about, you mentioned two things that are critical. The empowerment, and that's really important. But you said this empowerment has to be through information. And you are in Parliament. You know our policy environment around access to information for young people. I think that's where, as civil society, we really need you more as the leaders. Because every time we're denying young people information, we're actually disempowering them. That's what you're saying. Yeah. And the results is what we're seeing. So we hope that with this submission, Honorable, you are one of our pillars in the August House around pushing for policies that allow our young people to access SRHR information. And we also expect that our framework, the National Sexuality Framework, is one of our tools to give young people information. And we really expect your leadership around that. But then allow me to go to the Ministry of Health. And we are still talking about the policy, the legal and the policy environment. Dr. Mugai here presented a great progress that we're making. But Dr. Robert, you have been in this environment and this space of sexual reproductive health for some time. I would like you to quickly reflect with us this afternoon from the perspective of Ministry of Health. What are we doing to bridge some of the policy gaps that we have? And what is the plan of Ministry of Health going forward, especially as we, also from the perspective of the COVID that now we have, and I know the ministry has launched a number of strategies. Just take us through the outlook of how from the ministry you're going to work differently to get the young people to access the services and information that they need. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, one, for inviting me to be part of this conversation. The Ministry of Health, when you look at the different pillars that were formed at the onset of the C-19 pandemic, we have a pillar that looks at continuity of essential health services. And I'd like to highlight that SRHR service delivery forms part of the essential priority of these services that the ministry is focusing on in the guideline during this pandemic. And of course, there's a lot of discussion, especially the skyrocketing rates of teenage pregnancies that have generated, so many conversations around SRHR and how well we are performing. But I would like to mention that the leadership of the Ministry of Health, both the political and the technical teams, especially the senior top management, is very interested in having particularly the SRHR policy finalized. And of course, in many meetings, the minister keeps making mention of that. And so we see this coming through. And of course, many of you are aware of the areas of controversy and where there's been a lot of consensus building over the years. Many of these are getting resolved. And of course, the main focus from many of the stakeholders was that this policy should, first of all, focus on information, strengthening information, SRHR information, to these young people, the rest of the community, the population, but also at home. How do we get SRHR information come through parents, and that all that is getting incorporated into this. And so for the policy, I know that this will get concluded soon, but also there's also a lot of commitment from government. About 2 weeks ago, we had a launch of the FP 2030 commitments. When you read through these commitments, you see that government, through the Ministry of Health, is committing to work towards increasing the country's access to modern contraception, reducing the unmet need, but also ensuring contraceptive commodity security. We see that lots of funding has been coming through to procure these family planning supplies. But also government is committing to make a 10% increase in the SRHR funding, especially targeting reproductive health commodities. I think that should be about commitment number 4 or 5. So we see the commitment coming through, and what is happening is to ensure that we have a broad stakeholder engagement into this discussion. Sometimes we've been accused that forces that are really coming up to drive some of these policies sometimes actually do not broadly include many of other key stakeholders. And that's why some of our policies at some point get stuck, because sometimes they are handled as health-related policies and forgetting many other players. So those are really some of the bottlenecks as to why we have some of these delays. But I think the involvement is becoming more broad, and I believe we'll have these policies finalized. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Just a quick one. Honorable spoke about issues of access to information. And one other issue that we have is access to services by the young people. I just want you to quickly share with us the thoughts and maybe a plan for the ministry. I know the policy is coming and the policy will help that, but in terms of commodities, preparing health workers, and we know there's a broad issue around that. What's the thinking of the ministry around that?
Yeah, first of all, the capacity building for the health workers has been around ensuring that they are responsive to the needs of the young people as they provide services. We normally use words responsive or friendly. I wanted to begin from that angle. Of course, there have been controversies around how young should, a young person of 10 years, 12 years, 13 years, should they be able to access contraceptives, as in if they came and they demand for these. So from the health worker perspective, health workers, and actually my own opinion should be that health workers should remain health workers. When a health worker understands their role as a health worker, and of course guided by the client charter, but also other instruments, the health worker should be there to respond to the needs of their clients. And regardless of the controversies, if a health worker remains a health worker, then I think as we streamline and sort out these policy-related issues, whoever is in need of the SRHR services should be able to get these services. And of course, there have been discussions around the R. When you talk about sexual reproductive health and rights. And personally, in some of the meetings I've participated in, there have been, inquiries being made from many other stakeholders in terms of what we actually refer to as rights, and questions like, are there specific SRHR rights that have been violated that you guys want to emphasize the aspects of rights? So those are some of the discussions that have happened, and many senior colleagues think that the issue of rights have already been enshrined within the Constitution, and therefore we should be talking about sexual reproductive health as service delivery. But I think what has also been bringing in other areas of controversies is the R. So which I think we as a team, we were also actually asked to unpack the rights, particularly to be clear on which rights have been violated, and then the approvals probably would also be considered. So that's really a glimpse of what is happening around the policy, the SRHR policy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. A big hand clap for him for the great submission. And I just don't want to let this go, and whoever is watching us out there, and the rights, there's no problem with the rights. We can define them, but the reason why we have the rights is such that there is obligation from the duty bearers for whoever is responsible to make sure that these young people have access to the information and the services that they need. And is there anything wrong with that? So there is nothing wrong, there is nothing evil about the rights. It's already there in our Constitution. It's already there in all the conventions that we consented to as a country. So nobody should deceive anybody about the rights, that there's anything hidden in it. It's really what we all deserve. And so with that, allow me, I'll reach the young person last. Allow me to speak to the health worker. You have daily experience, and I know you have been serving in the health sector for some time. I just would like you to reflect with us from that perspective in terms of what are some of the experience that you have as health workers, what are some of the unique interventions that you're putting in place to support young people, but what are some of the gaps, what are areas that you need to be supported in? We have Ministry of Health here listening to you, and our policymakers are also in the house. You're welcome, David.
Thank you very much, moderator. Once again, I'm Dr. Lukoma David. I'm an obstetrician, stroke gynecologist, working with the Entebbe Hospital. And I'm also a member of the Association of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Uganda.
Doctor, your microphone, we might request you to speak to the other microphone if it is challenging.
Hello? Yes, I said I'm Dr. Lukoma David, and I'm obstetrician, stroke gynecologist, working with the Entebbe Hospital, and also a member of the Association of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Uganda. I would like to appreciate SEHAD for honoring Dr. Chigundu, the late, who was my teacher and a colleague. I got a chance of working with Dr. Chigundu on a project to do the reduction of maternal health, advocacy for reduction of maternal health, maternal mortality and morbidity as a result of unsafe abortion. And because of that, the late was actually being called the abortion doctor. So, going back to what we face in the health sector, Dr. Mogahi, when he was presenting, was talking about the high maternal mortality rate. And of the causes he noted, the commonest was hemorrhage. But the other that he hinted on was mortality in the young age group, that is between 14 and 19. And this is mainly as a result of unsafe abortions. So I'll focus my talk on the unsafe abortions and what we have faced. For someone to go for an unsafe abortion, the first thing is there is an unintended pregnancy, and the pregnancy is unwanted. So if it is unintended and it is unwanted, that means they will go in for the unsafe methods, and therefore they come to us with many of the complications that we see. Talking about SRHR, when we're dealing with the young people, the age we're talking about is 14 to 19, and the age of consent is 18. But you get a girl of 15 who is pregnant, okay? First, they are denied access to information, they are denied access to contraception, and then they get an unintended and an unwanted pregnancy. And still, they find it a challenge to seek health care, which is a problem. So, in the end, they go for the unsafe methods, okay, leading them to having having complications. If I may talk about a case that I got to see one time, a girl who was 16 years got pregnant. Didn't want the family to know that she was pregnant, but talked to one of her colleagues. All of them are young, okay? Because they are denied, they are not given this information, they also fear to seek help from people who actually can help them. So this colleague of hers actually directed that to someone in the community. So whatever they did, God knows. But she only came with complications. There was a period of about 3 weeks, moving from one person to another with pain, bleeding, and actually getting more and more sick. Finally, she was referred to Kawempe, where they found things were so bad, okay? The uterus had been perforated, there was a hole. The bladder had been perforated. Even the intestines had been injured, okay? To cut the story short, she lost the uterus. That means at 16, you don't have any chance of delivering, okay? Then the second thing, the bladder was injured. So she ended up with a fistula, okay? That is another trauma, okay? The intestines were dealt with. So the issue was, because of what she was going through, the trauma, okay? She ran out of the hospital and found me in a health center in Mpigi, okay? But the issue was she was leaking urine. Therefore, she was being excommunicated because of what she was going through. So, as we're talking about sexual and reproductive health and rights, we need to involve everyone because anyone can be affected. Much as we talk of the young population, even the adults, even the ones who are educated, okay? They are all affected because at one time, anyone can have an unintended pregnancy, which is not wanted, which they want to terminate. So, as we're talking about the SRHR, we need to let the government know that there's a problem, okay? The policies that have been trashed should be revived. Good enough that adolescent policy is to be released next year. We hope it will tackle most of these issues that we deal with. What we are doing, we as AOGU, there are certain things that we put forward. We think that prevention is better than cure, okay? So if we know there is a problem, let us prevent it before it occurs. There's what we call primary prevention. If you think the unwanted pregnancies are causing more trouble, prevent the unwanted pregnancies. Let us work to reducing the unmet need of contraception, okay? So by preventing the unwanted pregnancies, I think we shall achieve more. There's what we call the secondary prevention. We know that an unwanted pregnancy has come and someone wishes to terminate. Let us open the space. Okay?
Doctor, I request you to summarize.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let us open the space. Dr. Mugahi said abortions are illegal, okay? Yes, much as they are illegal. Give a chance to these who are affected to at least choose what they want, okay? If you don't want them to get pregnant, and then you don't want them to terminate, okay? So, I mean, the laws are being so strict. Let us loosen up a bit and give them a chance. Also, there is what we call the tertiary prevention. That is, if someone has had an abortion, terminated unsafely, let us prevent them from getting complications, okay? So, as we're working towards that, let's look at these levels of prevention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I just picked one thing and it got me, I rarely get emotional, but it got me a little bit emotional from your submission. That she's denied information, she's denied services. And I want to add that she's also chased away from school and she's chased away from home. And the boyfriend runs away. So what does this young girl really do? What does she have to do? I think as a society, we should really be fair to young people. This is too much, that all the channels around your life is denied. People who are supposed to give you information are not giving you. People who are supposed to give you services, they are denying you. So what does really this young person do to be safe? And so that really takes us to the conversation to the young person in the house. You know, Olivia, listening to our leader, the Honorable Member of Parliament, listening to Ministry of Health, and listening to, you know, the touching story from the health worker who is sharing actual experience of young people. And I know from your practical experience as a young person, first of all, really, what comes in your mind about the SRHR space in the country? And from your experience as a youth leader, what are you doing and what would you recommend that we do differently? Because all of us are here listening to that.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm by the names of Namira Olivia Nora, a community health advocate of Community Health Advocates Association of Bikwe District, which is a community-based organization. And our patron is SEHAD. I would really thank SEHAD for empowering us, because we are the people on the ground. And also thank the JAS program for whatever it is doing, because what I'm bringing out, it is through basically the JAS program, which has been focusing on the SRHR services in Bikwe District. Going back to what the moderator has asked, really we have a very big space, or we have so many challenges affecting access to SRHR services in Bikwe District. And through our constant visits to our health facilities, we are able to get out a report that I would want to share with you. These are not forged, it is what is on the ground. First, my fellow panelists have been talking about empowering, and all that. But we are all, I'm taking this question back to the Ministry of Health. We have a big problem. There's still drug stockouts. However much we empower, and these drugs are not there at the health facilities. For example, Buyukwa district is surrounded by a landing site. For all those who know, it is surrounded by a landing site. And what does it mean? It is overpopulated. And we now know by policy, Health Center 3 is supposed to serve 20,000 people. And at the rate, according to the visits we had, the real statistics show that all health centers in Buyukwa district, Health Center 3s, Bwagajo Center 3, Makindi Health Center 3, Buyukwa Town Council Center 3, and Ngogo Center 3, all serve 50,000 people. That is too much to be handled by these other health facilities. So what challenges do we get from that? So I have an example, a clear example, because we had to even petition the DHO about it. In Bwagajo Center 3, they deliver medicine for 3 months. But this medicine is consumed in 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. What happens to all those 2 months and those weeks? What happens? Really, if we empower these people and tell them, go and get family planning, go for antenatal, and they go there, they don't find the drugs, do you expect this person to go back to the hospital to look for that medication? Of course, they will not go back. Because another example is we had an experience of a mother. She was going for antenatal, but she said, I will not give birth in the hospital. And we are like, why? Whenever I got there, the nurses shout at us. That is one. They tell us, if you don't have gloves, we are not going to work on you. If you don't have cover and all that. And the way they say it is that is the problem, the way they raise out the issue. So when we empower these people, we get that information from them and also go back to the health facility and engage the health workers about what we have got from the community. The other issue